Galadriel's life begins during the first stage, before the sun and moon are even created, when the measure of time is still calculated according to the years of the trees. She is born in 1362 of the years of the trees in Eldar, the land of the Elves in Valinor. Galadriel belongs to a royal family and descends from an extremely noble bloodline, being the daughter of Prince Finarfin of the Noldor, son of King Finwë and Queen Indis of the Vanyar, and of Eärwen, the Swan Maiden of Alqualonde, daughter of King Olwe of the Falmari, the Teller in Elves of Valinor. She is the youngest sibling among 4 children and the only daughter. Her older brothers are Finrod, Felagund, Angrod and Taignor. Through her father Finarfin, Galadriel is related to many important characters of the Legendarium. She is the niece of Ingolfin and of Feanor and the first cousin of the latter's 7 sons, and of the 4 children of Ingolfin, which include Turgon, the great-grandfather of Elrond Half-Elven. Galadriel, even in her early years, proves to be a powerful and special elf with extraordinary gifts, one of the greatest of the House of Finwë. Finarfin names his only daughter Artanis, which is Quenya for noble woman. Due to Artanis' height and stature, her great strength of body and will, and her courage, Eärwen, her mother, named her Nerwen, which is Quenya for man maiden. Her mother name was Nerwen, Man Maiden, and she grew to be tall beyond the measure even of the women of the Noldor. She was strong of body, mind and will, a match for both the lore masters and the athletes of the Eldar in the days of their youth. It is recorded that Galadriel is the tallest of all elven women in the entirety of the Legendarium. Galadriel, the tallest of all the women of the Eldar of whom tales tell, was said to be man-high, but it is noted according to the measure of the Dunedain and the men of old, indicating a height of about 6 feet 4 inches. In the Peoples of Middle-earth we are told that of the 4 children of Finarfin, the most famed are Galadriel and Finrod. The most renowned of these were the first and the fourth, the only daughter, and only of these 2 are the mother names remembered. In youth, Galadriel is fond of wandering afar, away from the home of her kin, and she also often visits the Teleri of Alqualonde, the people of her mother. While dwelling in Valinor, she becomes a pupil of the Valar Aul and Yavanna, and being one of the Noldor, Galadriel has a passionate love of crafts of hand. She quickly learns all that the Valar teach the Elves. Being brilliant in mind and swift in action, she had early absorbed all of what she was capable of the teaching which the Valar thought fit to give the Eldar, and she felt confined in the tutelage of Aman. Tolkien even compares Galadriel to her uncle Feanor himself, who is the most gifted among the Noldor, regarding them the greatest of the Eldar of Valinor. A wholly different story adumbrated but never told of Galadriel's contact at the time of the rebellion of the Noldor appears in a very late and partly illegible note, the last writing of my father's on the subject of Galadriel and Celeborn, and probably the last on Middle-earth and Valinor, set down in the last month of his life. In this he emphasized the commanding stature of Galadriel already in Valinor, the equal if unlike endowments of Feanor. Like all the children of Finarfin, Galadriel inherits his golden hair, which comes to the family from the Vanyar, through Galadriel's grandmother Indis, the second wife of Finwë. A sister they had, Galadriel, most beautiful of all the house of Finwë. Her hair was lit with gold as though it had caught in a maze the radiance of laurelin. This feature marks out Galadriel and her brothers among the princes of the Noldor. But the hair of Galadriel is a unique feature of hers, for it is exceptionally beautiful. Galadriel was the greatest of the Noldor except Feanor maybe, though she was wiser than he and her wisdom increased with the long years. Even among the Eldar she was accounted beautiful and her hair was held a marvel unmatched. It was golden like the hair of her father and of her foremother Indis, but richer and more radiant, for its gold was touched by some memory of the star-like silver of her mother, and the Eldar said that the light of the 2 trees Laurelin and Telperion had been snared in her tresses. The fact that the hair of Galadriel has trapped the gold and silver light of the two trees plays a significant role in the unfolding of Middle-earth's history, for it is believed among the Elves that it is due to her hair that Fëanor conceives the idea of imprisoning the light of the trees of Valinor. Many thought that this saying first gave to Fëanor the thought of imprisoning and blending the light of the trees that later took shape in his hands as the Silmarils. For Fëanor beheld the hair of Galadriel with wonder and delight. He begged 3 times for a tress, but Galadriel would not give him even one hair. These two kinsfolk, the greatest of the Eldar of Valinor, were unfriends forever, who together with the greatest of all the Eldar, Lúthien Tinuviel, daughter of Elu Thingol, are the chief matter of the legends and histories of the Elves. Galadriel not giving Fëanor even one strand of her hair will again be brought to the foreground thousands of years later in Lothlórien. During her life in the Blessed Realm, apart from the names given to her by her parents, Galadriel receives another name in Telerin, Alatariel. This name is an epesse or nickname that she receives while she is young, referring to the brilliant sheen of her gold and silver hair which in her youth she wears in 3 long braids, the middle one being wound about her head. It is a secondary name given to her in her youth in the far past, because she had long hair which glistened like gold but was also shot with silver. She was then of Amazon disposition and bound up her hair as a crown when taking part in athletic feats. Tolkien provides many translations of this name of hers: maiden crowned with a garland of bright radiance, maiden crowned with a radiant garland, glittering garland, and maiden crowned with gleaming hair. This name will be translated to Sindarin later in Beleriand and become the more familiar Galadriel. She herself accepts and chooses this as her Sindarin name in Middle-earth rather than those received by her father or mother, as it is the most beautiful among her names. During her early life in Aman, Galadriel is proud and rebellious and wishes for freedom, but she is also generous and kind-hearted, distrusting Fëanor only. Galadriel was born in the bliss of Valinor, but it was not long in the reckoning of the Blessed Realm before that was deemed, and thereafter she had no peace within, for in that testing time amid the strife of the Noldor she was drawn this way and that. She was proud, strong and self-willed, as were all the descendants of Finwë save Finarfin, and like her brother Finrod, of all her kin the nearest to her heart, she had dreams of far lands and dominions that might be her own, to order as she would without tutelage. Yet deeper still there dwelt in her the noble and generous spirit of the Vanyar and the reverence for the Valar that she could not forget. From her earliest years she had the marvelous gift of insight into the minds of others, but judged them with mercy and understanding, and she withheld her good will from none save only Fëanor. In him she perceived a darkness that she hated and feared, though she did not perceive that the shadow of the same evil had fallen upon the minds of all the Noldor and upon her own. This darkness will drive Galadriel and the rest of her kin away from their home, far into exile. More about it in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one on the Homely House. Namarie.